It's been a long and fantastic day. But I won't bug anyone. I'll just hit the ground running. So let's get into it. I've been able to cut the speeches and the moments into bits so that we can just pick the important parts of the speeches delivered by the presidential candidates at the ICAN conference earlier today. So you're welcome, everybody. Let's do this together. I won't be taking any much time. And but before we go, need you be reminded, in case you didn't monitor it, that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress wasn't uh, around. He wasn't present. So, but let's just look into the things said by those who were there, talking to Nigerians, especially the Chartered Accountant of Nigeria. Let's get started.
Have in our midst this afternoon, I'm going to be introducing them in alphabetical order. We have with us this afternoon the presidential candidate of the Accord Party, Professor Christopher Irene Imunolen. You're welcome. Also here is the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Sadly, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress was invited, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was unable to make it, and perhaps he's here. My apologies. So I have just received a...
Don't forget, I told you I'm bringing up moments. Okay, that's an interesting moment. Okay, you mentioned that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress is not around, but of course, people reacted, and then she had to say, "Well, it's not my making. It's not here." And your organizers say, "Perhaps he's on his way." But you saw the reaction from the crowd.
A contrary information now. I think what I said earlier was the latest I heard, but right now I've just been corrected that perhaps they might still be able to make it up at an event. That is what the organizers of your conference have told me, and I've given that information to you. Moving ahead, some quiet please. Moving ahead, we have with us the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Professor Peter Umeadi. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party is also here, Mr. Peter Obi. We also have with us the vice presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Bishop Isaac Idahosa. And last but certainly not the least is the vice presidential candidate and the current governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa.
I am perhaps the youngest presidential candidate standing on this platform today.
Now let's get into the speeches already. Now this is the first person of Accord. I'm doing this so that all of us can begin to appreciate the quality of people we have on this ballot. Beyond buying votes, giving people Ankara 6 yards, threatening people, banners, all sort of things you have been used to, all the conventional things. It's becoming interesting. Did you know, for instance, this young man? Listen to him. It's very important. Okay? I'm not saying don't do your usual thing, but let's start knowing more than we used to think we know better. Listen to this. It's interesting for me to have listened to him today. That's why I'm bringing the highlights, okay? And I'm craving your attention to listen to this young man. He's just 39. He will be the youngest of all the presidential candidates and is on our court party. Although I have one issue with the party he came on, but that is on, another ideological. But did you know? Did you know? Did you know about this before now? Listen.
At 39, I represent the voice of the youth. At 39, I'm the only African who have established 3 universities globally. At 39, I'm the only one who probably might be standing here who have demonstrated value and passion for the Nigerian people outside politics. As we clap, we must know that Nigeria truly desire and needs fresh air, need new breed of leadership, a leader that has value and passion for his people. I've demonstrated that. In education, for example, I'm probably the only among very few of us who has provided scholarship to over 500,000 Nigeria. You can check it. My name is Professor Christopher. Nigerians, we should not be blinded by those who move from one place to another, who seek to
Wait.
You to look like your Messiah. You are learned people. You should reach to know those who are standing here. We are applying for a job to become your manager, to manage your country.
Did he just say people who jump from one party to the other? Is this guy trying to go after? Hey, bro. Now I won't begin get issue with you with that too. Hey, no go step on some people tell you. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? No, let them come for you. No, let them come for you. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what he just said? Can you imagine that?
Standing on this platform today, at 39, I represent the voice of the youth.
We know, fine, good.
At 39,
Thank you.
I'm the only African who have established 3 universities globally.
Good.
At 39, I'm the only one who probably might be standing here who have demonstrated value and passion for the Nigerian people outside politics.
You're doing well.
As we clap, we must
wait. That place where I won't go now, I no one can understand because they go come after you. I don't hear you say so.
know that Nigeria truly desire and needs fresh air, need new breed of leadership, a leader that has value and passion for his people. I've demonstrated that. In education, for example, I'm probably the only among very few of us who has provided scholarship to over 500,000 Nigeria. You can check it.
Show me the senatorial district where for be senator before or House of Rep member. Show me where for be governor before. Nigerians now waiting they look for without to, but you are making sense anyways. Let's continue.
My name is Professor Christopher.
Learn the name Professor Christopher. At 39, he has established universities and he was never in politics. So he was not using politics money. So that I was say he was this. He's not using state fund. How he got his money, another question. He has invited us, now that he has stepped out to contest, to investigate whether he has genuine or legit money. Another topic. But something interesting here is that he is doing this while not having access to government fund. He's not using government money and he's giving people scholarship. He's establishing universities at 39. Is that not interesting enough? So let's continue. This is where I want to say you should be careful because me I no get issue with waiting a talk, but a lot of Nigerians. Hey, I hope this man is ready for what he's inviting.
Nigerians, we should not be blinded by those who move from one place to another, who seek to you to look like your Messiah. You are learned people. You should research to know those who are standing here. We are applying for a job to become your manager, to manage your country. The future.
I beg na Professor Christopher talk am. I no follow deal. No come after me. Oh. He said some people are jumping from party to party, presenting themselves as the Messiah. I no follow the that one. No.
Of our children lies in the decision we make.
Still following my alphabetical order, the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Omoyele Sowore.
Waiting, why are they clapping? Ona too like controversy. Ona like wahala. Ona like wahala. Oya sha. Just continue to the year. Okay, they bring Sowore up. Oya on a clap small. Oya.
I, on my way here, made a promise not to talk about any other candidate but myself. So I want to thank the leadership of ICAN for demonstrating better judgment than the Nigerian Bar Association, who did not invite the rest of us. But having said that, I also want to congratulate those of you who made a bet today that one candidate will not show up. Congratulations, you won. And the candidate that did not show up, please listen to this, is supposed to be an accounting guru from Chicago State University. But he refused to show up at the most important accounting event in Nigeria today. Don't forget that I said I will not talk about candidates. But the country Nigeria and the future of Nigeria cannot also continue to live or expect unsustainable candidates in 2023. You guys are aware that the president of Nigeria just presented the budget of Nigeria a few days ago. I wasn't an accountant, but I went into that budget and looked at it legally and discovered that it's an illegal budget. Reason being that the budget violated Section 12, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution by way of the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007, which says explicitly that the deficit to GDP ratio of the national budget must not be more than 3%.
You see, say Sowore don't turn lawyer finish. Person they enter in and out of court every day. Even when you no get issue, they get issue with them. When they no get issue with you go get issue with them. You see, as you know, they quote law back to back.
We are now at 5%. That is unsustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, I would have loved to stand in front of you and talk about sustainability. It's a very fantastic buzzword for governance. But I'm here mostly to talk about things that are not sustainable anymore in Nigeria. I want to state clearly, while you are happy that I talked about another candidate, but I want to talk about one of you that carried out an unsustainable act of accounting, which is the stealing of over 150 billion naira by the Accountant General of the Federation. That is not sustainable. Oh, are you saying that he's not one of you? Fantastic! 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 All right, I take it back. Please, I take it back, and This is why you must ensure, and I will ensure, that the next Accountant General of Nigeria is a member of ICAN.
Now, this sounds a little indicting. How do I mean? The crowd cheered as he said, he took it back. They reacted when he said one of them. And then he said, "Oh, you mean he's not your member?" As if he didn't know before. That means we all have job to do. Now, this is where the indictment is. Where are all these people all this while? Do they know that that accountant general is not a chartered and is perhaps from quota system? You know, most of the people working with Buhari have been alleged to be based on quota system. In fact, they have over-quoted the North into the federal structure, even if you want to go by quota system. You have an attorney general that all lawyers are saying is not even qualified to be a lawyer in the first place, because most of the things he's doing are not even known to law. You have an attorney general appointed by... So it's the same thing when they said the Chief Justice. It was also a crisis moment when people queried how that person would be, based on Sharia law, become Chief Justice. Isn't the president, isn't there laid down protocol of how to appoint people to become who or what? If you appoint somebody who is not even recommended by, or even the least qualified among those recommended by the the Judicial Council to be Chief Justice of Nigeria, you also appoint an Attorney General who lawyers are saying, where did this one go to school? Because what he's doing is not even understood by lawyers, genuine ones in the country. If all of these things are based on quota system, you see why Nigeria is not moving forward. Yet many Nigerians are still following, going for supporting candidates who will not even show up at this kind of important debates or, conferences to speak to people, because they don't count you as important. Otherwise, if you're important, why wouldn't they be with you to come and talk to you? I'm not talking about all of them, but you understand that we need to start telling those people that you matter, and they must start coming out to address important gatherings like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we want to hear, let them step out of their party cocoons and come and address you. Now, you have an accountant general stealing billions. And chartered accountants in this gathering are already saying, no, don't count him as one of us. So, you see, the chartered accountants in this gathering, for instance, protest at least over that accountant general alleged to have been stealing billions. And that's just one out of several who have been stealing money under this government. So we need accountability, and accountants are important in this kind of process. So moving forward, all of us must start. If you like I said this evening on my Facebook page and Twitter, I said it is the opportunity now. Okay, it is the opportunity now for students and lecturers to take the bull by, you understand, take the bull, because this is your chance for the first time or the best time in your history ever that you have a presidential candidate who is one of you, speaking about your plight, talking about your condition, showing passion, resilience, and all of that about how he's going to make sure that education is, because he benefited from free education. And it's important that people must who benefited from free education must not increase or make education difficult for the next generation, but even easier. You have a Showore who represents you. You have a Showore. I'm talking to students now who have been home since over 8 months. You have a Showore who represents your plight, who is from your constituency, who is talking about your. You have lecturers who have not been paid, who have been going on strike, fighting for ages over funding education. You have a Showore talking about this thing consistently over 30 years, and is not presenting himself to come and do it. If you miss this chance again, chartered accountants, if you want to be proud of your profession again, lawyers, if you want to be proud of, Showore is the only person who has been going in and out of court, respecting the law, rule of law and order, despite their heaping wrong charges and lies against him. He still keeps going. How many of these your other bourgeoisie politicians do you see even obeying court order? Showore has not committed crime, but he still keeps coming out. They will charge him with falsehood, he will still come. They will do it, he will still come. Lawyers, if you want to be proud of your profession, you have a candidate who has demonstrated that. Policemen, you have been torturing this man, locking him up, doing all sort of things against him. He's the only person he's talking about why you must be better paid and your welfare is important. He's not fighting you back, he's fighting on your behalf. This is all of you, all professionals, this is your opportunity. If you miss it, well, a golden chance again. Let's listen.
Great accountants, please, let's listen to ourselves. When Maokwe Ogun was asking how many of you live in Abuja, I saw only a few hands. And I was saying to myself, they are driven away the real accountants from Abuja, where they are most needed, so that they can do what they like to do best. Cook the books. The sustainability of Nigeria depends on a number of things. But number one of it is electing a sound leader in 2023.
Professor Umayadi.
That's very important. So I cut Showore's part to limit truth, okay? And some of you noticed that I spoke more on Showore because it's somebody I'm interested in, okay? You understand it? This man has impressed me since when he stepped out in 2019 with everything. Everything. So you understand why I'm interested in him. I'm not saying he must win. I'm not saying you must support or vote him. I'm not saying it must be your choice, like mine. But I'm saying, could you begin to already consider, are you interested in progress, or we just like rabble-rousing as usual? So let's go to the next candidate.
Is the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Thank you very much. Prof, you have the floor now.
Yes. Thank you very much. The pillars of sustainability are human, environmental, social, and economic. When we hear of solutions to use agriculture to achieve food security, it falls flat on its face. It presents a conundrum. The villagers have fled the farms for fear of their lives. We should prioritize human security. No firepower should be higher than that of the state. It is the prerogative of the state to overwhelm any other groups, take control of its sphere of influence, and enthrone and enforce the rule of law. In this regard, I support the bringing about of state police in Nigeria. Environmental sustainability is fundamental and critical to the survival and sustenance of other forms of sustainability. The aspects which come to mind here is land degradation as a result of exploitation of natural resources. On a trip to Port Harcourt to visit my sister and her family, I set out to visit the place of my nativity, which is Abonima. I joined a speedboat, which was a mere canoe fitted with an engine. The boat was at excessive speed that I had my heart in my mouth all through the journey. I saw firsthand.
Now, please listen. I'm interested in the story this man is sharing. He's talking about spillage, pollution, environmental degradation, and you know, absence of compensation, okay, and other things that are necessary as to making sure the space is safe for human conducive living. So exploitation, people have been exploited, they are taking resources from their area and they are impoverished. So he spoke about his journey, and on waterways he saw oil pollution. Fishes in that kind of water would definitely die. Let's just listen.
That the water and the banks were saturated with oil. One could see the sheen. I saw the hundreds of holes on the banks, which I later learned were crab holes and such like creatures that survived there. We know that oil was first drilled in Ogoni in 1958. However, it took nearly 6 decades in 2017 for the Nigerian government and oil producers to begin to clean up the spills, which you can bet started in 1958. The hydrocarbon pollution and remediation project was formed for that purpose. Shell Petroleum beat his chest that he donated an initial sum of $10 million. It has been recorded that oil worth 100 billion US dollars had been taken from that place.
I'm going to be introducing
Before we move to the next, the man was talking about compensation, reparation, environmental cleaning up, like clean up the space for people, let it be safe, compensate them, in fact, develop them, let them be okay, you know. But the more they exploit the people, the more they impoverish them. So he's so angry, and I understand it too. But let's move to the next candidate.
the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Gregory
Thank you,
Obi.
Hello, this is.
I understand. Obi is the trending person at the moment, so you have to be shared. People are cheering him like Obi, 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 Kikireke, Obi, Kereke, Obi, oh. So let's listen to man of the moment. Man, no lie, it did trend lower, lower. So na man of the moment. Okay, so I go talk say he's one of those who took the shine today, right? Because people were expecting to hear so much from him. So let's hear this so much.
It's time. Let me respect Your Excellencies. Let me respectfully stand on all due and existing protocols. Economics, when you talk about SDG, which is where you drive this when she was reading, it is aftermath of Millennium Development Goals, which lasted from year 2000 to year 2015. And this is lasting from 2015 to 2030. And I agree with what Prof said, that we are about hiring the new CEO for the company called Nigeria. So we have to look at the people's past and what they've been able to do. NDG goal, which ended in 2015, for your records, I started implementing it in year 2008 in Anambra State.
Sorry to pause. We will definitely continue. Why I'm interested in this part of his speech is that I also understand, I worked with NGO before. Specifically, I worked with Dr. Joe Odumaki at Women Arise. I know there were MDG goals, there were items on the list for goals for the Millennium Development Goals. There were items. So that between the period, the number of years set for achievement of these goals, whoever achieved it as past. So I am so happy that somebody is coming to reiterate it. I remember how we told state to state them, trying to impress on governors to implement the Millennium Development Goals. Now, SDG stems from MDG, and I'm so happy that Mr. Peter Obi also explained it in his speech. You will listen further, but let me just prepare the ground so that we are all on the same page here. Now, if you have achieved the belief of those who set these goals, United Nations, international community, is that once you have achieved these MDGs, the next set of goals for you is to sustain them. All right. And that is where Mr. Peter Obi's experience comes in. He did it in Anambra State. One of the items on the MDG, he did it so well that it took Anambra State from 20 something to number 1. Okay. So if you have been able to do MDG and became number 1 on education, and not generally on education though, because there were issues where they said lecturers in the state university were not paid and he had issue with them, they went on strike, but at least he picked the one he could manage, which is WAEC, not education totally, as I understand. WAEC, because that is the one he always used. That's WAEC, performance in WAEC, secondary school, not general education. It does not necessarily mean it includes tertiary or others. But WAEC, it's just like any other governor could also pick common entrance, do so well with it. He picked WAEC, that people transiting from secondary to tertiary institution, the performance in the state generally. He worked on WAEC. They moved from 20 something to number 1 as part of his own pursuit to attain or achieve the MDG. So I give it to him that even if it is only WAEC or anything you can point out in your MDG achievement, he did it. So he is now therefore saying, if I did this with MDG, MDG is also sustain what we have achieved. So that is exactly what he's saying here. So let's continue to. I hope I've been able to prepare the ground so that you understand it and not just be. We need understanding, foundational understanding of the ground principles on rudiments of all these things. So let's continue to listen to Mr. Peter.
And by the time he ended in 2015, I was number 1 in Nigeria.
Now, there's something I also like about Mr. Peter B. He has always told us to go and verify. How many items on the MDGs did he become number 1 on? Number 1, because he said by the time it ended, MDG ended in that year, 2015, that he had become number 1. How many items on the list did he become number 1 on? Or is it because he became number 1 on one, he therefore wants to generalize that he has won every other? So let's be careful, Mr. Peter Obi. People will Nigerians, this generation of Nigerians always love to verify. Okay, what in MDG did you become number 1 on? I have given it to Mr. Peter Obi. He's a good guy. He picked one thing, became number 1 on it, and he did well. I appreciate it. In how is it on all of the items on the MDG list that he became number 1 on across board? Okay, so let's not just be clapping. These are auditors, these are chartered accountants, so we must let them understand, okay, and every other person watching, so that we appreciate what we are listening to. Thank you.
And as we move on, what we are going to do, because it's critical, as we move on in what we are going to do, for me, the Labour Manifesto is already mainstream along the SDGs. You can go and look at the manifesto. It's already mainstreamed, and we put it into our...
Sorry, I will be pausing and talking. You know why? This is another candidate of interest to me. I will not lie. After Showore, the other candidate of interest to me is Mr. Peter Obi. Until I saw the other man of Accord today on on the ICAN platform, Mr. P. So I did this about Showore too in 2019. Showore people criticize me, yama yama. So it's not my business. I must do it. It just says something again. And let me play back. So just reverse a little, rewind a little. Let's say.
Move on in what we are going to do. For me, the Labour Manifesto is already mainstreamed along the SDGs.
If you have been following me or this channel, and you have been following me talking about my criticism or my critique on the candidates, you would hear me talking about ideology, manifesto, content of it, charter of demand, Labour Party, Peter Obi as a capitalist, Labour Party as a socialist, Workers' Party. It's interesting to me. I want to see how they marry it. You guys are not paying attention to this. You just want to follow trend. We must be critical. And Mr. Peter Obi understands. That's why I like him. He knows that people are becoming critical of what you are saying, the platform you are running on, your personality, your belief, your background, and all of it. So I'm interested. I'm liking it that Peter Obi is addressing it. So now he has said that the Labour Party is working on and they are infusing it into the manifesto along SDG lines. These are things people should be interested in. Instead of just, youths are interested. Who are youths? Youths that are fed with poor education or that have been home since 8 months. Youths that are just... So it's not to derogate the youth. It's just to say youth are youths. MC Olomo's boys are youths. But we must be critical. Those of us who know how to analyze and must analyze what implication of each policy is, ideology is, manifesto is, we must not leave it to the mercy of just youths. Youths are following. Youths are following Tinubu. Youths are following Atiku. But can we help these youths to enrich their understanding of the programs and projects of the candidates they are following? That is exactly where I stand. You want to a candidate, but you don't understand his program and you don't to know him more. I want to make sure that you know your candidate better. I want to make sure that you know your candidate more. I want to make sure that you appreciate your candidate more than you thought you knew him or appreciated him. I want you to evaluate your candidate and understand him better so that when you speak in the midst of people, especially learned, who are critical of policy issues, you will know what to say. Some of you are probably just supporting Peter Obi without knowing all of these things. But are you not appreciating that we are bringing and is addressing them? So he's not talking about Labour Party working on the manifesto and incorporating SDGs into it. Don't you like it? I'm giving you talking points. And he's doing well talking about these things. But did you know before now? But you were not interested. You just wanted him. I shall like his dressing, his personality, the way he smiles, the way he talks one by one. He's humble. He's no rude. That's not what that is not all. You must know his programs and how it impacts you. And that is even more important than all the factors you were earlier considering. And I want to appreciate the ICAN once again for providing such platforms to bring these candidates up to discuss they are exposing people to what they must know about programs, projects, policies of each of these candidates. Do you understand it? So we must listen to what they have to say. I can kudos to you once. So let's continue to listen to Peter Obi.
You can go and look at the manifesto, already mainstreamed, and we put it into our development agenda and what we want to do, following our experience with MDG. Then it comes to where, for you accountants, your contribution to that development. Nobody can think about whatever we're going to do, whether you call it SDG or anything, without knowing that the accountants, chartered accountants, play a critical role in development. Because whatever you plan, whatever you want to do, you have to ensure, one, the financial sustainability of it. You have to come into the budgeting, the forecasting, and most importantly, the revenue. Because at the heart of tax is you. You have to bring the taxation into it. Today, the most critical problem of Nigeria, apart from other things that are besetting it, insecurity, everything is revenue to GDP, which is often shouted about that we don't have enough revenue. We don't have enough revenue because to GDP, even among the African pairs, we are 6%, when the average in Africa is 16%. Going globally is even worse. The reason is, so at the heart of it is you. It is you that is supposed to help the government to organize when the government starts doing the right things. How are we going to do it to ensure that this tax revenue comes in order to be able to build these sustainable goals? At the heart of it is you must secure and unite Nigeria. Today, Nigeria is among the fragile states, so security becomes paramount and critical. And ensure that we fight what one of the candidates they have mentioned, issue of corruption. At the heart of everything happening here in this country today is corruption. You have corruption of all sorts, corruption in terms of the way you appoint people to be in office by appointing incompetent people, corruption, the way we do our expenditure, corruption in terms of if you look at our subsidy today, it's virtually an organized crime. Today, our oil is being stolen by who? By people in government. And you can go on, and the heart of it is this. So you must remove a country and show that we must now have a country where there will be wealth with enterprise. In any country where government officials are richer or politicians are richer than business people, that country is finished. You cannot talk about sustainability in a situation where gangsters have taken over your country. You can't talk about sustainability when you have 33% unemployment. You can't talk about sustainability when you have 20 million out of school children. No, these are things you have to tackle first. As you're doing it, and you mainstream.
Thank you so much. I agree with him here. You can't sustain what you don't even have in the first place. You have out of school children and you want to sustain that. You have unemployment, you want to sustain that. You have a lot of things going wrong. You have insecurity, you want to sustain that. So we have not even achieved MDGs. And let us be factual, Mr. Peter Obi. Wherever you say you have taken Anambra State to number 1, since you left, was it even, can you guarantee it's still number 1? So will you not say that some people took it up, others crashed it? I would always give free education, like Shawara was saying the other time, that he gained free education, and many people went to school through free education. But most of the people who went to school through free education came to power and started privatizing education, making it difficult for the next generation to go to school. Is that what we want to sustain? So I agree with Mr. Peter Obi. What we currently have cannot be sustained. So we can't be talking about sustainable development goals when we have not even achieved the development goals themselves. So what are we sustaining? So I agree with Mr. Peter Obi there.
The sustainability aspect of SDG into your mainstream, you will be able to drive the process.
The vice presidential candidate.
I was supposed to talk about, but let me leave it. Let me just allow it skip or slide. You talked about GDP to revenue ratio, and it was talking about taxation. And these are the places or aspects where the ideology I always talk about come in. Ideology. Okay, you want to keep taxing people. Whereas you are taxing people and we are subsidizing few rich individuals. I do not think that's the way to go. Taxing poor people, unemployed people, taxing, and we are sending more people out of the country. Taxing people and they are all running away. So I do not think taxation should top our conversation right now. Let us talk about recovery of assets. We have enough assets that can make Nigeria wealthy enough to cater for needs. But they are in the hands of private individuals who have cornered them. Okay, taxing should, and those of you who know those, or you directly are one of those who cornered national assets. You have made enough money. Can't you just relinquish it now at this point? And you have made enough now. Leave it at this point. Go create other private businesses. Can't you just say when is enough for you? For you personally, I've benefited a lot from this. Let me just at this point let go. Must they come after you? Drop it. You don't try. Leave it. Please, for the sake of other people, go down now. We'll go to the next candidate.
Of the new Nigeria People's Party, Bishop Isaac Idahosa.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of my principal, His Excellency Senator Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, I stand on stage to deliver his thoughts. Excellencies present and all protocols duly observed. Please, you have to give me and possibly learn one or two things from what I'm about to deliver to you. The Registrar, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. One great principal, the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, distinguished Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. Particular area of interest are Nigerians women.
No, at this point he has been reading. You can see he's already sweating. He's been reading, so don't mind I caught it. He's reading because it came with long speech, well detailed, but you can always get it later. He already told us at the end of the speech, because even Mark Ogundi, the moderator, had to stop him, and he's assured that people can always have access to it as they are unveiling their manifesto. So,
asset recovery and monitoring systems, debt repayment, financial commitments, forensic record solution, as well as transparent accounting system, to mention but a few. As we will demonstrate in details the unveiling of our presidential campaign blueprint, our mandate is solution-based, people-driven, and business-friendly. My experiences across the board as a legislator.
Oh, sorry, did I say he was sweating? I think he wasn't really sweating. I think it was maybe oil that light in the oil is reflecting on, so it made it look like sweating. Sorry. Don't forget he's a bishop, so over his face. So apologies.
As the Chief Executive Officer of the State of Kano, in my capacity as the Governor, as well as a Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Defense, have prepared me to understand the magnitude of Nigerians' economic distress. Therefore, the leader we desire at this time is the one who is ready to roll up his sleeves on day one.
Bishop,
Economic activities are not out in an
Bishop,
environmental...
I am so sorry that, I have to interrupt you. I know
Well,
that
what
you have a well-detailed paper.
Thank you. What we'll do will be unveiling our manifestos, and we're more than happy you give ear to it so we can have all this. We have not to play, we have come for serious business, and that's what we do. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Thank you. Our last speaker, certainly not the least, the Vice Presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party and Governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa.
Thank you so much. The President of ICAN and delegates to this conference, I'm glad I'm in your midst today. But just to put on records that we only got this invitation on Monday, which is just 2 days ago, and I've had to come and represent the presidential candidate. But there are real issues in this country. I want to stay away from politics, but talk about the real issues. The Nigeria that we have today is a Nigeria that is troubled. There's disunity, and from different parts of this nation, we are speaking with voices of anger. So first is to find a way to reunite us as a people. Because if we do not work collectively as a people, and we pull in different directions, we will not be making progress. But very importantly, this country cannot survive where we are at the moment without a state police force. And as a political party, my candidate wants you to know that the legislation has already been put in place to amend the Constitution and to govern the creation of state police right from the first week of its ascension of power. And how to develop not just the oil sector, to ensure that the oil that we produce will...
Sorry, did you know that state policing is part of the elements or items from the restructuring plan? A lot of people have been talking about restructuring. You just mentioned state policing, and it's just part of, just for you to know that people who are talking about restructuring, they have been using it for campaign for a long time, okay?
Refine for ourselves, as long as we continue to import oil from outside and we do not quickly ensure that there is refining in this country and we continue to pay subsidy, we'll definitely not be going on the right path. Education is in very bad state. The health sector is in very...
He just said education is in very bad state. Health sector in very bad state.
Very bad state. And we have strong points on that. Science education and technological education are very important. Entrepreneurial education is very important. We ignore right from our secondary school.
You see, the understanding of different people about the same issue are quite... These are not the fundamentals. Yes, we may be bringing a secondary part of, oh, people should have this type of education, science education, food education, technological education, and all of that. But the question is affordability. You want to educate your people, but they can't afford the education. Okowa is the running mate to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Atiku Abubakar was the VP, Vice President to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. When ASU was on strike under them, this, in fact, they made education problem more festered. Let's be frank. Festered in the sense that rather than address ASU issue and fund education better, they went to obtain private university licenses. Obasanjo has Bells University, Atiku has American University in Nigeria. They want more of it. They are not addressing how education. In fact, we listened to another speech of Atiku at the NBA conference where he said government should not even have business with funding education. They want everything to go to private individuals. They want to privatize everything. Yet they know it's a critical issue. Critical issue in the sense that you only want to change the syllabus. You're not talking about the citizens affording the education, and that's exactly the fundamental issues I have at this point. PDP wants to come back, and they are presenting Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and their idea is just to change the curriculum option, but not to fund it for the masses to be able to afford it, which is where. So when I talk about ideology, what is your fundamental basic driving, motivation about how to carry citizens along? And people are saying it doesn't matter, living is the one that can win at this moment. I wonder whether it is they themselves that want to win, or it is you that want to support them to win. Okowa himself understands that it's an issue. So you just want us to. So the only problem you think education has right now is the curriculum. Also, being on strike is not about the curriculum. It's not about whether they're educating people on this and not on that. That is not the basic. The basic is the funding and affordability for your citizens. How will people be able to afford this education? So, which is why we always talk about ideology as far whether you're capitalist in nature or orientation, or whether you are socialist in orientation, that government should fund it so that people can afford it. You want to educate people, but you don't want them to be able to afford it. What are you then talking about? Who then are you educating? Children of only the rich. How much is minimum wage? What are you proposing? So that at least children of the poor or the masses can also afford the education you are providing. So, gentlemen, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Let's stop just following candidates on he's popular. They know him. He has money. He can travel in private jets. He does give away. He does that. We're talking about what he wants to do, each of the candidates, and how it will affect me, my family, and future generation, and the country at large. Those are the things I am always talking about. But I don't know why Nigerians are not yet there, but we will get there. Discussing programs. Okay, so let's continue.
Level, even from the primary school through to the universities, entrepreneurial education must be emphasized. That is what we are doing in Delta State, and people know. And we must begin to find ways to create jobs and to make people learn that they can create jobs and work for themselves. They cannot continue to depend on government, but we must create the enabling environment to get things to work. And
which is the issue is we must create that enabling environment. How do we create it when all we want to do is get private university licenses and not talk about how we want to fund public education? How many people will afford the private universities, the private sector, and what is government doing about public institutions? Those are topics of interest, so that whoever is organizing something similar in future can begin to fuse these important critical topics into the questions we are asking them, or the agenda we are asking them to speak to.
And this country, there's so many issues that we have to look into. Even the issue of population management. We tend it, but it's a major issue in Nigeria. When your economic growth is far outstripped by your fertility rate, you cannot develop. In planning, we must be cautious where exactly we are going. It's important to look at these issues. And these are issues that Atiku Abubakar and I and the rest of us have discussed. We are discussing with private sector. We engage all Nigerians. And together, we'll get things working again. God bless you.
Last, this country will be governed by private sector. Last, this country governed by private sector. Gentlemen and ladies, you have listened to all of them. I started with God Party, and some of you already, that's Professor Christopher. Some of you liked, even me, I came in like, oh, I didn't know this person is among the people on the back. and that's it. So we must always research. It's not just about, oh, somebody is popular from somewhere, who is youth are dually, and they can do it for anybody. You can just throw some money around and say, oh, yeah, you start it here, yeah, you start it there. Well, like, anybody can do it. I'm not trying to demean anybody, but I'm saying must begin to develop critical mind to ask why, what, how. Because now so then do Buhari that year 2015. Everywhere just the boss, people just they come out from nowhere, just they shout Buhari, Buhari, change, APC change, APC change. People were not critical. People were not asking questions. People were not interrogating. They were not probing. They just saw that it was trending and they jumped on the bandwagon. That is exactly what we want to avoid now. I'm not condemning your candidates, but I'm saying we must begin to be critical about the candidates. We just don't jump on candidates. We last did that in 2015. We must stop doing that if we really want true progress. We must begin to make sure that whoever wants to come out, we must be able to check them. Whoever wants to come out will first be afraid. Like, am I sure I'm able to answer questions? Am I sure if people interrogate my past, my present, my source, my programs, sure I'll be able to stand? But if we are not asking these questions, they just believe that, oh, she been these people. The moment they see saying at me, they could just accept. That is where the problem starts. So, but the moment we let them know that, oh boy, before you step out now, you must be ready to defend anything, because Nigerians will be critical, they will interrogate anything. That moment will start getting the right thing. That moment will start getting to important questions, important national questions, so that we no longer continue to have misfits. We'll just ride on the wave. We'll just say that people want this. Okay, I think if they say that me, I'm coming out, they'll just rush me, and then they rush us. So all of those have to actually stop. I'm liking it that Peter Obi is feeling the heat. Is already getting to understand that it's not going to be a walk in a park. So he's going to face questions, critical interrogations, and all of that. More interesting is that he joined the Labour Party. So presenting him cheater of them, definitely have friends who are sitting to work, but will he agree to the content daring? So that simply means they are going to bend him to an extent where he will begin to discard some of his capitalist ideology, because Nigeria, as he is quoting statistics of unemployed people, children that are out of school, and so on and so forth. So he must be sure that government has to invest in a lot of things. It's not everything private sector controlling this, controlling that, and people cannot afford services. It will be terrible. So I'm happy he's on Labour Party platform. So they will work on something together. You guys don't know that I like him. You think I hate him? I don't. But I'm one person that once I know what I hold very well. Before I can leave it and pick another one, I'll probe that one very well. I won't mind holding the two together to say, I think whoever is between these two, we are good. That's the way I am. Maybe saying something through APC. The fact that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu forced himself to come again, as you see, is unable to come out to programs like this, because I understand he's an old man. He has paid his debt, he has done well in Lagos, fine, he has done, but he's now old. I wish that as we are discussing Showore and Professor Christopher and we are discussing Peter Obi. I wish that we are also discussing APC candidates or PDP candidates, mainstream political parties, conventional ones. Unfortunately, we are not discussing them because the people who held the parties like this have refused to allow young people, their flag bearers. So Tinubu is too old. He probably will attend one event, then go back to sleep, repackage, prepare for maybe another 1 week before he will be able to start another event. An old man. All respect to him, with all due respect, everything fine, but we all know the truth. I wish he didn't force himself to step out again, allow the younger person, so that we can now begin to discuss that one. But for people like me, I won't be discussing APC because they presented a candidate that will not. I can't really relate. Yeah, you understand? Generational gap is small. I feel instead that man is somebody we are supposed to be going to greeting him, going to for advice, going to, we should see as Baba. You know what we do to Babas now? No be we go to put them on their toes again. Instead, now we go just go greet them, they care for them and all of that. That's the way I see it, with all respect. But saying that that man should be my president, I'll be making demands. Oh, the president should do this, the president should do that. In the midst of all the things you are facing, we should not be pressuring that man. For me, I'm not discussing APC because they have presented a candidate I really can't discuss. So I'd rather just see B. I'll let APC be so that those who want to fall in for their own reasons can do that. It's okay. I will respect your decisions. It's just my own I'm saying now. If they are presented maybe Osimba Joe, Fashola, yes, or any other person who are still able to carry them around. But, and I'm sure we only mentioned Osimba Joe and Fashola because they are popular. But I'm very sure there are still other young persons in the APC who are vibrant, doing well, good, that they have not brought to the surface yet. To bring those ones out here, we will discuss them. But for right now, all the best. I know they know how they do their election. Yeah, to secure victory. I know how they'll probably still do it again, but it's okay. But it's just personal decision that I want to respect the man as an old man, that I should not be that we should not be working or taxing to work at this time. So I want to excuse him on that basis, please. Please, I respect your decision, respect my own too. I will not be talking about Tinubu or APC. Okay, except some events want to come up that we will be forced to talk about. Otherwise, on a regular, I won't be talking. Thank you so much. Now, don't forget that I was talking about something of interest to you. There's an update. Some of you saw the video of Governor Sanwo-Olu received approval letter at an event by FAN. FAN, that is FAN, Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria. The approval for the national airport. So I told you in my last video when I visited the Ibeji-Lekki site for Quantum Brooks Estate that international airport will be there, making it the second in Lagos. I told you Lekki Deep Sea Port is there. I told you Dangote Refinery fertilizer was already commissioned by President Buhari the previous time. So a lot of companies, there's Lekki Free Trade Zone there. So it's the future of investment hub in West Africa. It is still cheap now to invest in that area. Let's say they not tell you. Now look at this one. I'll see you another time.
Are you concerned about your electricity bills being on the rise? Does the constant power outage drive you crazy? Wait, what if I told you there was a place you could live in Nigeria where you never have to pay electricity bills ever again? A home where you can enjoy uninterrupted power supply, no generator noise, poisonous fumes, and all of the wahala that comes with power homes through generators. A home that helps you cut down the cost of living by converting your waste into renewable energy while providing gas through a digester waste management system put in place. Now, imagine owning a smart ready home in a prestigious beachfront estate in Lagos where the never-ending ambience, breeze, and view of the ocean keeps you connected to nature. This and more is what the all-new super affordable Quantum Brick Estate offers. Quantum Brick Estate Phase 2, Lakwe Beachfront, Lagos is Nigeria's first 100% hybrid renewable green energy off-grid estate, built with laterite bricks which have been proven to be 10 times stronger, more durable than regular cement blocks. Laterite bricks are fireproof, soundproof, and bulletproof, hence providing extra security to lives within the estate. So, what are you waiting for when you can get a 3-bedroom terrace starting from 40 million naira only and a 4-bedroom semi-detached starting from 48 million naira only via our ongoing off-plan sales? All of our homes come fully finished and funded with inclusion of appliances such as gas cooker, refrigerator, microwave, oven, washing machine, heat extractor, to mention a few. Other facilities include ball court, pool, children playground, fitness gym, fire alarm, hydrant, and a fire truck within the estate, CCTV and 24/7 security guards, estate clinic and ambulances on standby, grocery store, centralized water treatment reservoir, and many more. Secure a home out of the ordinary in Nigeria's first 100% hybrid renewable green energy off-grid estate, now selling out fast. For inquiries and further details or to schedule a site inspection, please visit the site on happyhomes.com or call or send a WhatsApp message to 0806 558 2739 for more details. Quantum Brick Estate, a product of Happy Homes. Live well, preserve nature.